Okay, you're out on YouTube. Let me get the record going. Okay, Cliff, all yours.
All right. This time I'd like to call the meeting of the Town of Rochester Zoning Board of Appeals to order. This evening, Mr. Barringer will sit as a regular member. Would the secretary please conduct a roll call of the members?
Chair Mallory,
Present.
Mr. Sars,
Present.
Mr. Fisher, not here, Mr. Barringer.
Present.
All right, as a quorum is present, I'd like to read the following. I have confirmed with the town's council that tonight's meeting has been convened in accordance with the governor's March 13th, 2020 Executive Order 202.1, which suspends certain provisions of the open meetings law to allow a municipal board to convene a meeting via video conferencing. In accordance with the executive order, the public has been provided with the ability to view tonight's meeting via YouTube, and a transcript will be provided at a later date. The secretary has completed a roll call of the board members, and there is a quorum present for this meeting. I've also confirmed with the secretary that this meeting has been duly noticed. We fulfilled our legal notice requirements by posting notice on the town clerk bulletin board and outside door, posting legal notice in the Shamgar Journal, and posting notice on the town's website. Thank you. This evening, the first matter on our agenda is a pre-application submitted by Di Flaminio and Kudryasheva. Is that close?
Very good.
Very good, thank you. This is Ms. Kudryasheva?
Yes.
Okay, would you please present your application? Tell us what this is about.
Yes, so we purchased two lots. And in the process of purchasing, we learned that the property line runs through a cabin on one of the lots, rather than where we expected it to run. There is a sort of a natural division between the two lots and it splits off, and there are two driveways. So we thought it was right in the middle, but it isn't. So we're trying to see if it would be possible to move it in between the two driveways. So it's so we don't have to move the cabin or rebuild it. We could just keep it as is on the second lot.
All right. Now, currently, there are two lots, and the lot sizes are currently as drawn now?
There's 1.7 acres, one, and a second one is a little below an acre, 0.75, I think.
Okay. And if the area variance is granted, what will the lot sizes be?
There will be 1.2 acres and 1.43 acres.
Okay. When were these properties acquired?
One was in April and one was acquired in May, a month apart from each other.
And why was it a month apart?
So it just so happened that the neighboring lot was on sale. It went on sale right after we bought the first one. And at that time, we were informed by the seller that there's actually an issue in the lot lines and it's really hard to sell it. So he asked if we would be interested, and we were, because it would supposedly be maybe easier to fix that lot line if we owned both of the lots.
So when you bought the first lot in April, you were buying a lot with a cabin not entirely on your property?
No, that first lot owns half the neighboring cabin. So we had the first lot is the bigger lot. The second one is the lot where the cabin is originally was improperly built.
Okay, so the way I understood this was that the property line between these two lots runs through that cabin. Is that not correct?
Yes, that's correct. But The cabin is not on the first lot. It's not on the 21st Ski Slope Road, which is the first property that we purchased. It's on the second one.
Okay,
It's
I'm
on
having a
both.
little- Yeah,
Well, the
I'm having
cabin
trouble
is on both.
understanding this.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm
Right.
sorry.
You're
The
not the only
cabin
one.
is on both. The property line runs right through the middle.
Right. So that when you bought the first property, you bought a property with a cabin, half of which was not on your property.
Well, I didn't even know that the cabin belonged to me at all
Okay,
until the purchase of a second property.
I see.
So I
Okay,
had no idea. I truly thought that the line just ran through between the two driveways. And not
I
until
see.
we purchased the second land, we realized that it actually runs right through
I-
the, well, we didn't realize, the seller told us.
was a survey done on this property? When you
It
bought it?
wasn't done because we bought it during the COVID and we just couldn't get the surveyor out.
Okay,
So we just settled to test our luck, and now I'm here.
okay. When were these two lots created? I mean, did there come a time when they were one lot and they were subdivided, or what exact, how did this come about?
I don't know the history of the original situation, but I know that they've been in use like this for about 60 years now. And neither of the owners just did anything about it. So the owner of the 21 Ski Slope Road, which sort of owns half the cabin, never claimed it or asked to move the cabin, and the cabin owner never did anything about it either because the other neighbor wasn't bothered. But I was told by some of the neighbors that this has been an issue for a long time, but no one was just fixing it, I guess.
Okay, so originally these two lots were owned by different owners.
Yes,
Okay. And you don't know when the two lots were created. When was the cabin built? Do we know?
about 30 years ago.
And do you plan to use the cabin, to occupy it?
Yeah, the cabin is in good condition, so I was planning to use it. We were planning to start the construction on the 21 Ski Slope Road, but we wanted to use the cabin as the vacation home to go. So if we could keep it and not have to move it, that would be great for us.
Okay. So why not consolidate these two lots? Instead of moving the property line, why not just consolidate the two lots?
We don't, eventually we want to maybe build two houses. We don't, it's a big, very big lot. We don't need that much space, honestly, in land. So if we could keep it as two, that would probably be ideal. So if we wanted to sell one of them later, we could. We just don't need that much space. And
Okay.
the house that we're looking to build would be at most 100 square feet. So there's really 1,000, I'm sorry, 1,000, no, not 100.
Right.
Okay, so this property, the two properties combined though are a little over two acres, is that right?
Yeah,
All right, and both properties are R2 in R2 district? Is that
yes,
right?
correct.
Yes.
Which is 2 acre zoning, right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Huh?
Cliff, I can give you that information. It requires 2 acres per dwelling.
Right. So as it stands now, you have a little over 2 acres, and in order to have a dwelling, you need 2 acres. So again, it seems to me better solution might be to consolidate rather than move the property line.
Then we can't
that's-
have, let's say, two houses on one lot, right? And we can't
Couldn't
separate
anyhow
them.
because you
further.
don't have enough land.
Well, 2 acres is definitely, well,
It's
right
enough for one
now,
building.
right now there is a cabin and there is more than enough space to put a house on. And
No.
Right, but the zoning law requires that you have 2 acres for a dwelling.
okay, so I'm sorry, I just don't know much about it, so that's why I'm asking
Right.
questions. But
No, I
how,
understand.
there is there's a house that is in a very bad condition on one of the lots now, so we're going to take it down because it's trailer basically. But there are two of them now, and there are two wells and two electrical
Septic.
connections, septic. So I'm not sure how then that was legal.
Cliff, if there is a pre-existing already on the property, there is a provision that it can be replaced, but it's the code enforcement officer's determination of that. But if there's already pre-existing, or there was recently pre-existing, they're non-conforming lots, and they can be made to they can be reestablished. So that may be what she's speaking of.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Well, so Mike, we've been down that path with reconstruction and rehabilitation on a non-conforming lot versus expansion of a existing
but if
structure
it-
on a non-conforming lot.
And it's totally Jerry's call, but I'm just saying that you can, there have been situations where there was, say, a trailer on the lot previously that is replaced with a home, and that is allowed. So, because there is a
Right.
provision in the code that allows you to continue the usage. So I don't want to say it can or can't be. I'm just saying the possibility exists, and that's something you should probably speak with Jerry about. So.
Right.
Okay. Bruce, any other questions?
Yeah, so I guess, so the first question was, I mean, in your application, what you had stated was that you wanted to use the cabin as a vacation home, and that not having the property separated seemed to be a problem doing that. But I think you've answered it by saying one of the reasons you'd like to separate it is for potential to sell it off in the future, right?
Right. We didn't foresee purchasing
Yeah.
this, but we thought, okay, we can maybe figure out
Right.
how to fix the line, and if we have to sell it.
Right.
later, if
So
we
when
don't-
you drew the line, the property lines that are there, the smaller of the two lots, the one with half the cabin, not the one with the mobile home on it,
Right.
doesn't have any road frontage. It's landlocked. Okay, because the neighbor in front of it and your other property block that from having road frontage, right? So in your lot line adjustment, you gave that the smaller of the two properties, when you expanded it, you gave it road frontage on Ski Slope Road, right? There's a minimum amount of road frontage that has to have in order to be legal for the zoning. And I believe that's 50 feet on that road. But in doing so, you're shrinking the road frontage on the second property because you're taking some of it, right? And what I'm worried about is that you'll shrink that frontage down. It's 50 feet for a flag lot. I'm sorry, I should be more specific because that's what you're creating is a flag lot. So it's 50 feet for a flag lot. The other lot is not a flag lot. It requires 100 feet of frontage. And it looks like right now, you're right around 115, 120 feet road frontage. Putting the 50 in brings you well below the 100 that's required, right? So it's almost like now you're going to create another variance that you're going to need by doing that.
Bruce, can
Right.
I correct a mistake of what you just said?
Yep, please.
It's 50 feet of frontage, no matter what. It doesn't
No matter,
matter
okay,
flag lot or not. You must have 50 feet of frontage on a public or private road.
I thought it was 100 on the
No,
non,
50.
okay.
Yeah, I just wonder what it is now, because if
So
that's true, then now it doesn't have any.
it,
most
yeah,
likely.
it's very close. The larger of the two properties is very close to the limit if you put the 50 feet on the flag lot. You might require a variance on that. So I was concerned about that, it's just going to lead to another problem, right?
Mhm.
Going down. And you've answered my question about the well and septic, because your application says they're not going to be connected to a well and septic, but what really is the case is they both have independent wells and they both have independent septic systems, right? Water
Yeah.
supply and septic, okay.
Well, needs to be fixed, but it is there. We were able to locate it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's always the trouble in the country is those two things
Yeah.
are that's what you ask the owner the first time you see it, is where those two items are. So those are my concerns about it, that,
But
you're gonna,
right,
and
with
to
that,
Cliff's point, consolidating it is probably the better path,
with that being said, the smaller of the lots, does it have any clearance to the road right now? I
No,
don't think so.
no.
Not at
Mike,
all.
if you can call up that note that I sent you and display that, you'll see it on the map.
There's no road frontage to that other lot at all.
No,
So I was thinking, same way you are, Bruce, they consolidate it, they already own it and everything, just make it all one lot because it's an R2
Yeah.
district. They can only have that one building basically.
and actually by making it a conforming lot, you'll probably add more value to your, I mean, this is me speculating, huh? I'm not a real estate agent or anything, but you would probably add more value to your, because it's conforming at that point and someone can build on it. So you see where the blue arrow points? That's
Mhm.
where the corner lot line is on the smaller one,
Yeah.
near the cabin. And you can see that it's cut off from the road by the other two properties. And that image is from the Ulster County GIS parcel viewer. So that's the tax map that Ulster County has published.
Right. So if that is allowed, I'm assuming somehow it was approved, right? Why
Right.
wouldn't, given it's some part of the road, if supposedly if we could find 50 for one and 50 for the
Right.
other, why wouldn't
Right.
that?
That would be acceptable, that you have to find that. And what I'm concerned about is when you find the 50 feet for the one, you make the other one too small. And then that requires another variance to be smaller than the 50 feet. Right? You have to hope that you have more than 100 feet
Yeah. But this
on that
whole,
of road frontage.
this whole 218, the line that's right below 218 runs across the street. It
Right.
basically just runs along.
That's right.
Might have been more than 100 feet.
I
Bruce,
I could
part of the
certainly
issue with
measure
this subdivision is
Yep.
the actual roads, and I know this from experience with other
Yeah.
applications. The actual roads layout is not where they were supposed to have been put. Where they are on paper is not where they are in reality.
right?
And I'll be honest, I don't know the solution to that. And the other people kind of gave up and changed their mind. So this particular subdivision was the developer kind of did what they wanted to after they got approval, but it's so old that I don't know the answers. But I do know there are many issues with the roadways being not where they are on the plans. So.
Right. Well, that's why, a survey map laying out all the points would be extremely helpful.
That's
So
what
that-
I was thinking.
Yeah,
So
I
that the measurements are accurate and we know exactly what the application is stating. I mean, this is the pre-app, right? So this is where
Right.
we flush out all the points, and it's very tough to just go by some overhead photos and the tax map and things like that.
right.
So,
I was hoping to, understand what the different points of view are before I paid for the survey and have.
yeah, exactly. Right.
But if there is a chance to keep it separate, I would love to try to do that. I understand that it might come down to consolidating, but if I could find the legal amounts that are necessary to try to keep them separate, that would be ideal because it's just still a lot of land for
Right.
for just one house. And if you look at the pictures too, the way it's split, there's just clear pass off. There's sort of part of the forest still in the middle and then two driveways.
Right.
So I thought it just naturally made so much sense.
Right.
And then I realized so there's going to otherwise need to be a lot of landscaping needs and figuring out how to make it look like even one lot, because it does not right now. It has so much natural forest division. And
So I'd like to draw your attention to our zoning code, specifically section 14066 C, which deals with area variances. And section 2, I'd like to read to you so you understand the things that we consider when considering your application. In making its determination, the Zoning Board of Appeals shall take into consideration the benefit to the applicant if the variant is granted, as weighed against the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such grant. In making such determination, the Board of Appeals should also consider whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance, whether the requested area variance is substantial, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, and whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the Zoning Board of Appeals, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. The Zoning Board of Appeals, in the granting of area variances, shall grant the minimum variance that it shall deem necessary and adequate, and at the same time preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Those are the things we consider, among others, in your application. Another thing I think you should be familiar with is the schedule of district regulations, and specifically section R, an R2 district, which does require 2 acres for a dwelling. Now, I know you might not think that it's necessary that you have adequate property, but our zoning law requires that for a dwelling, you need 2 acres. Now, as Mr. Baden has mentioned, when there are pre-existing conditions, that makes it a different story. What I've been sort of thinking about here is you have a problem, right? You have 2 small lots, two undersized lots, and you have a property line that runs through the middle of a cabin, which is fairly straightforward, and I understand that problem. But I'm just wondering about if we do grant the variance, we would give you perhaps an opportunity to put another dwelling on an undersized lot.
Well, they're already there.
Well, so there's a cabin, and you said there's an old trailer that has to be torn down, right?
Yes, the trailer is in not very livable condition on the bigger lot.
Okay.
And to your first point, really, with this line move, what I'm trying to do is not have to make any changes to the landscape of the properties, actually, because if I were to keep it 1, I would have to probably make some changes, because right now there are completely 2 separate lots. And so I was hoping that I could preserve the way they are now and the way they were used for, it looks like, at least more than half century now, by applying for this area variance. But really, I'm not trying to make changes about the use of these lots beyond building a new house on the bigger one, and which I would still be able to do, but if I ever wanted to sell a smaller one, I would never be able to, I don't think, because of this line mix-up.
Mr. Saris, do you have any other questions or comments?
No, none at this time.
Mr. Barringer, do you have any questions or comments?
No, sir, not at this time.
Okay. How do your neighbors feel about this? Do you have neighbors?
Yeah.
Have you talked to them?
Yeah, they're very friendly. And actually, that's how we learned about the sale of the second property. Our neighbors told us, because they're all very friendly. So now we talk to them a lot. And they actually let us know, and that was one of our neighbors' suggestion, that we should probably, if we could afford it, purchase it and try to fix it, because it's been like that unfixed for a while. So really, the idea came from the neighbors.
Okay.
Sorry,
Um,
sorry, Cliff, if I could just interrupt. So I know the trailer, when looking at the real estate advertisement, was warning people about mold and going in there. Do you know when the trailer was last lived in?
No, this was not disclosed to us at the time of sale, but we were advised that we should probably not venture ourselves into the trailer.
Right.
I think probably I would say maybe 12 years.
So
There's
you don't think,
definitely still furniture in there we picked
right?
in, and it's not decomposed or anything like that. So I think about 10, 12 years maybe it wasn't in use. Do you know?
So it hasn't been used in 10 or 12 years?
About
Okay.
10 years, yeah.
Yeah. And what about the cabin?
The cabin's been used the previous summer. So the previous owner and his girlfriend used to come up there every summer. So they've been
Right.
using it. We've used it
Okay.
a little bit as a storage now. Put some more things in there.
Okay. So the 10 or 12 years, Mike, and this is, and I'm sorry, Mike, I'm going to lean on you because
I understand because Mary Lou's not here tonight, so.
exactly. So, with the amortization, is it 5 years, I thought, with
I honestly, that would be a Mr. Davis question, whether it would be allowed to be
Okay.
replaced or not. I don't know in this case if a time frame matters or not from when it was last occupied. I think
Right.
once it was placed there, it becomes a legal structure that can be replaced, but I don't know enough about the law on it. And so I would say that would be a question to ask Mr. Davis, if it could be replaced or not. In which case the density would not come into play because it's a replacement of an existing structure.
And I
Right.
could
Yeah.
have the contact of the owner, so I could try to reach out
Yeah.
and find out. So you have that date.
Yeah. Because I guess if it can't be replaced, then the option is to have to combine the two lots to 2 acres to a minimum of 2 acres in order to replace it. Would that be the logical progression, Mike?
I'll be honest, I don't really want to guess because it
Okay.
would be a guess at
Fair
this
enough.
point.
All right.
I just know that there is a provision in the code that a pre-existing non-conforming structure, which would be the trailer, has the ability to be replaced. If it's expanded beyond the setbacks, then, and encroaches on the setbacks, then I don't know. But if it's able to be built within the setbacks, I believe it's allowed, and it can be a larger footprint. It doesn't
Right.
have to be the same footprint of the trailer.
And we're keeping it. It's a 2-bedroom trailer, and we're planning to keep the construction at 2 bedrooms too. So
Small.
we're not really expanding it. But yeah, I hope it's allowed, because if I didn't purchase the second land, then I would not be able to use it at all. So that seemed.
So Bruce, Article 6 deals with non-conforming uses and structures. Section
Right.
14041 deals with restoration, reconstruction, or reestablishment.
Right.
Section A says, if any non-conforming use, building, or structure is damaged, it may be restored or reconstructed by building permit issued within 5 years of the date of the damage. A non-conforming use, building, or structure may be reestablished within a period of 5 years after it has been discontinued or vacated.
Right. What? Sorry, Cliff, I'm going to try and get to where you're looking. The 5 years where it's been vacated, that was in what, 149?
14041. That's A and B. Under C, it says a non-conforming use building a structure may be considered abandoned under any one of the following circumstances. Number 2, the building has not been occupied for 5 years or more and/or the use has not been exercised, or the non-conforming use has been replaced by a conforming use or changed to another use under permit.
But the use is residential. That's not,
Right.
Right.
I just read that because of the or.
yeah.
Have you found the section?
Yeah, 140-41. A is
Right.
it's a non-conforming building or structure, right?
Right. Well,
And this is where we got wrapped around the one earlier. So what I'm saying is a non-conforming use building or structure in B may be reestablished within a period of 5 years after it's been discontinued or vacated. And I would encourage you to find that it's been used, so that we don't.
Bruce, I just
That-
found the section, it's 140-43, which talks about existing non-conforming lots of record, which these would
Right.
be.
Right.
So just hypothetically speaking, if I did not purchase or have the second land, I would not be able to build anything on this original one?
well, first of all, if you hadn't purchased the second piece of land, you'd have a cabin that's hardly not on your land.
No, well, the first one was the bigger one. The bigger lot is what I purchased first. So I would have a piece of cabin that I didn't want.
She would be able to build under the fact that the lot was pre-existing, you would be able to build a residential.
Right.
As long as the setbacks could be met, she would be allowed to build that.
Okay, so what changes if I try to move the line?
Well, if you can build on either lot because it's a pre-existing non-conforming lot size, suppose it's moving the lot line. Not that important.
It's moving the lot line and staying within the setbacks that are prescribed in the district, right?
Right.
So
So
You know,
the 50 feet is what I need to ensure.
the 50, well, no, you need 50 feet on the road frontage. On the side yard, you need to be back. I think R2 is 35 feet on the sides, and on the front, it's 25, Mike? Well, I have to look. I don't have them memorized. So,
So
you know,
really,
it's,
I need to get a
The front yard,
survey.
I believe, is
Yeah.
40 feet.
Hmm.
I believe the front is 40, and I think the rear and sides are 35 and in R2.
yeah, now,
Believe.
And I can find that in the zoning code.
Right.
yeah.
Okay,
It's under the schedule of district regulations.
okay, thank you.
All right.
All right.
So how do we feel about a survey?
Make a motion, gives us a survey onto it.
Is there a second to that?
I second that.
All right. Mr. Barringer, are you in favor?
Yes.
Mr. Saris, are you in favor?
Yes.
And I'm in favor. So I think in order to go forward, we want to see a survey
Got it.
so that we know exactly what we're dealing with. We want to know about the road frontage and where the lot lines will be, what the acreage will be, the things that a survey would tell us. Another thing I think we need to hear from the neighbors, if you can contact them and get something from them in writing, it would be good.
How many neighbors?
Well,
As many as
those in-
possible.
Sorry, Mr. Barringer?
As many as possible, I would say, the more the better.
Right.
Is 2,
I think-
3 sufficient? I'm just trying to.
Well, certainly those that are contiguous to the property, those across the road. I mean, people who would, potentially be impacted by our decision.
Yeah, okay, I think one of the neighboring lots is on sale, so I don't know if I'll be able to get that, but I can contact the other neighbors around us.
Okay.
Okay,
Anything else?
Nothing for me.
Mr. Cyrus?
Nothing from me. Thank you.
All right. So if we want to go forward, I guess the next step is to have an application. Because since we have a pre-application, I guess we can't go directly to a public hearing.
Right.
So if you wish to proceed, then those are the things we'd like to see.
okay,
And we'll put this on next month's agenda if you decide to go forward.
all right, I will try to gather everything before next month's meeting. And I'll
Okay.
keep everyone posted.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your patience of walking me through this.
Well, that's what we're trying to do. We're considering all the options and trying to come up with a basis for making a decision here. As I think I read to you, one of the things we try to do is to minimize any variance that we do grant, to make sure that we haven't, because the variance would run with the land, and we want to make sure that whatever variance we grant, if any, is the minimum necessary.
I understand.
And of course, we may not grant the variance. Okay,
Okay,
thank you very much.
thank you.
All right, there are no other matters pending, no other applications, is that correct?
No other application.
So, other matters?
So the only thing was I had submitted some wording to Brianna for Bill's issue about getting documents in a timely fashion.
Okay,
So Bill, I don't know if you've had a chance, if Brianna circulated that or not, just so you're comfortable with it.
I didn't see it at all.
yeah, I
Okay.
haven't seen it.
I emailed it a month ago, but I can do it again.
Yeah, please.
Nope, I didn't see it at all.
But it was there the day after I emailed it.
Don't know.
Yeah, well, if you could recirculate it, because I don't recall seeing it either, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
I may have missed it.
Okay. That was the only item I had, Cliff.
Okay. Do we have minutes to consider?
May, June, and July minutes.
Okay.
Do we have enough to accept?
We can receive them, I would say.
hmm,
I don't know if we can,
Well-
I didn't read them, so I can't accept them.
Okay.
You guys are killing me. I didn't table them until next month, but then August will be on there too.
Cliff, on the minutes, I did speak with Kate. Brianna can submit them to the town clerk, just as noted as draft, not voted on by the board. So at least we have the record to the town clerk, and if they are ever voted on by a majority, then that can just be changed.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, you can do that.
Okay.
They should just be labeled as draft, unaccepted or unapproved, or however, whatever terminology you prefer to use.
Mhm.
Indeed.
How about pending further consideration?
That works too.
Uh,
Any other business?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second,
All right, motion to adjourn. Mr. Barringer,
Aye.
Mr. Saris,
aye.
and I vote aye also. So motion carries. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
Very
everyone.
much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.